Hi, I'm Dave, owner of Future Past Vintage Collectibles, and this is my daughter, Rachel.
Hi. We had a giveaway in the last unboxing.
Yep.
Let's announce who won. So if you don't remember, we're giving away Star Wars Droids #1. The winner was my dad's brother, Danny. We didn't think that was super fair, so we're going to give away 2 Droids #1s. So Danny, my uncle Danny, you get one of them. It's weird calling him Danny. And then the second winner is Luis Mendoza. So congratulations,
Yeah.
Luis. We have our email in the description box, so just email us. We'll get that book sent to you.
Yep.
We're announcing another giveaway today.
Yes,
Big
we are.
surprise.
Yeah, we are.
We're really excited about this. We're giving away the official CGC grading guide. They've never put one of these out before.
Nope. 7 years in the making.
We are so excited about
And
this.
it's only been out for, I think, people started getting them 2 weeks ago.
Yes, so it's brand new. We've barely even been able to go through it, but we want to give one to you guys.
I think it cost $36 landed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great. We've been looking through it. We'll talk more about it later in the video. So this is going to be given away. All you have to do is like, comment, and subscribe. We'll talk more about it.
And next week you'll get it.
Yes, in the next unboxing.
Yep.
We will get it to you.
We'll let you know next week who won.
Yes. We do have a CGC unboxing today. We had some interesting results that we've never had before that we'll be sharing with you guys. But before that...
So today we're going to grade 3 comic books with you guys. And from the grading, we're going to be able to make some decisions. Are we going to sell the book? Are we going to keep the book? Should we slab the book? And we're also going to figure out what the value is. We kind of start over. Once we get a book, we can buy it in a collection and not look at it for years until it's time to process and sell it. We're going to go through, this is like the end result of that process. And now we're going to make decisions. And each one of these books has a different reason we're doing it. But I say we get started. And I want to give you the opportunity to grade with us. So we're going to run a real slow scan, and you're going to be able to look at it, and we won't talk about it yet. Rachel and I will be looking at the book while you are. And we'll talk about what we see, and then we'll do the back cover. We'll do the same thing, and we're going to do that for every book. You ready to get started?
Yeah.
So this is Challengers of the Unknown, number 67. This is a book, it has a Neil Adams cover. It does not have Neil Adams art on the inside. Why are we doing this book? This is what I call a dead series. It's not heavily collected, and a lot of the books can be in very high grade and not really be worth a lot of money because there's just not a demand. This book's a little different. So this is a Neil Adams cover from 1969. It almost has a wash tone feel to it. It's got this black and white screen in the back that you can see. And I don't know if you've ever looked at this cover, but look what's in the black and white. We got skulls and we got these, I don't know, zombie-looking bony dudes, right? That's Neil Adams drawn some pretty cool horror stuff. That could be the cover of any House of Secrets or House of Mystery that would be coming out in the next year or two, right? So this cover is a little bit different. And this one I find to be collectible. And I would like to have it in a really high grade, so let's grade it.
Let's do it.
So, Rachel, you want to go ahead and start the scroll?
Yep.
While you guys scroll, we're going to take this out of the bag and grade it ourselves. All right, so how was that? Were you able to estimate some type of front cover grade? Here's how I do it. I start at 10-0. Book's perfect. And everything I see, I start subtracting. This is where the guide will help some people, I think, because there are a couple of things that are right in between grades. Like, well, this is a little longer. It has one more of these than it should. And so hopefully you did pretty good on the front cover. If you disagree or you think we missed something or if you think we're too strict, whatever you feel, please put it in the comments. Engage with us. We love to have these conversations. We grade comics every day.
We do.
So what I always do, and Rachel may not do it the same, what I always do is I start with all 4 corners. Because if the corner has a visible bend in it, it's going to eviscerate the grade. Mm-hmm. I mean, you might start with a 9.0 over one corner bend on an otherwise 10.0 book. So every 3 out of 4 corners on this book had issues.
Mm-hmm. The top right has a color breaking line. Top left is blunted slightly.
Yep.
Bottom left has a color breaking line.
Slight. They're almost hard to see with the naked eye. This green is not helping at all. Tough book to get in high grade, and we'll go over that in a minute. So we'll continue along the book. There's the corners. We have 5 or 6 spine stress lines on the cover that are not long or deep. They're very light, and they're not all visible to the naked eye. So as you look at that scan, and we look at a book under light, I always start with looking at it in a bag and how it presents, and then take it out. And if it really jumps out, if defects start just screaming out because they're really white, really big, whatever the issue is, I'll notice that right then. So this book presents well. So anyway, what do you have for a grade for the front cover?
For the front cover, I would say a 9.4.
Yeah.
For the front cover.
Hallelujah, we're at the same grade. That's where we're at, 9.4.
9.4.
Let's look at the back cover.
Let's see if it stays a 9.4.
Let's grade this. Okay, how'd you guys do? Back cover looked great. There wasn't. This is my estimation. First of all, the book's really clean. Look at the gloss on it. I mean, it almost looks wet. It's got such good gloss.
I don't know if the scan will show the gloss, but it is very shiny.
So the back cover's not white. Does that take off from the grade? I would say not yet. What else is going on? I mean, in my mind, I would still keep that at a 9.4.
There's that color breaking spine tick.
There's a very small color breaking spine tick on the lower staple area. It still can get a 9.4 in my mind. In my mind, you might be different. Grade freely, please. On
I
Rachel,
think this next thing we're going to point out is why I think it's a 9.2 right now.
I agree with you. Because in my mind, that's already gone. So
because you're going to clean it.
I'm going to fix that. So as we went through the book, Rachel had noticed, and we can blow it up. There is a texture on that corner, and as I looked at it, it appears to be canvassing to me. I'm not going to get into a long description of this. That's a pressing related issue, and it's repairable. So it looks like a texture that could have possibly been paper. This book did require moisture in order to help the page quality, which it did a little bit because these were dark off-white pages. We didn't get into that. Also, I know you'd be checking the staples. We'll let you know if there's staple rust, if it's not visible, and none of these books have it. So we call it a 9.2.
Yep.
I agree with you. I think that's good. We're not always in the same place, but I'll tell you 99% of the time we get there because a defect's a defect.
Okay, so right now we say it's a 9.2. At this point, we would determine what we're going to do with the book next.
Yeah, so let's look up value. And I know a little bit about this book because I just bought it. So
yeah, we showed it in an unboxing actually.
Yeah, I just bought this. But let's look at GP analysis.
Yeah, so we use a few different resources whenever we're pricing out books. We use Go Collect, we use Cover Price, we use GPA, we use Key Collector. We have a software called CLZ that we use to see prices and things like that as well. We use eBay, we use the census. So we have a lot of different resources that we utilize
they're all
determine what to do with something.
Every one of those is a paid subscription as well. So
yeah.
At the core of our process, we're getting a feel for what this book is selling for. Imagine this. You're trying to figure out what something's worth to buy it. And I always look at selling like buying. Like, how much would I pay for that book? Because sometimes the information you get is not clear. That particular, and this is a great example. As a matter of fact, we'll use this example and I'll keep discussing it.
Yeah, this is a great example. So right now for the because we're doing this in a video, we're just going to be using GP analysis to kind of determine what we're going to do with these books. So we think it's a 9.2, and GPA, pull that up on the screen now, doesn't have a lot of information for us.
So in August 2020, one sold for $95, a 9.2. But a 9.4 hasn't sold since 2013. So now we would go to the CGC census. We need another piece of this puzzle. So let's look at, there's no 9.8s, there's 1.96, and there's 4 9.4s. This book only has 14 graded. It's, like I said, it's not a heavily collected series. In higher grade, I think it becomes investment grade, not 9.2. So in a 9.2, I would just keep it. 9.4, I'd slab it and probably hold on to it for a while. It's a Neil Adams cover. I collect Neil Adams. I don't collect every Neil Adams cover. I like this one. So,
Should we say why we know it's not a 9.6?
sure.
I mean, it's the color breaking.
Yeah,
The amount of color breaking.
the amount of color broke on this cover. Plus, a 9.6 really can't have corner issues like that.
Especially multiple corner issues.
There's three corner issues on on the front cover, so it completely eliminates it out of. If nothing else was wrong with it, those three corners would eliminate it.
Yeah, so the highest grade we'd be able to get is 9.4 if you remove the canvassing on the back.
Correct.
So that's our
we
plan.
we think.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of on the edge because I can also help that little spine tick on the back, but it did break color. So
Yeah.
that's that book. Let's do another one.
All
Superboy
right.
215.
Yes.
There's a picture of it. So this book is interesting. It's we'll go over the census information on this, but this is early Legion appearance, and Legion showed up in Superboy, I think in 197, and from that point on took the series over. And this was very, very popular when it came out. So there are people who collect these. I consider this a somewhat dead series, that there's not a lot going on with it, but there is some stuff going on with Legion of Superheroes. There's been a show called Legion. This is an era that is interesting. This is Mike Grell art. Jim Shooter was this. If you guys know, Jim Shooter actually started at DC at 14, I think.
Oh.
He was just a kid, and he ended up being in charge at Marvel for years during like when the X-Men blew up in the 80s, and he launched a lot of big series for Marvel and helped them stay where they were because they were all struggling at that time. A client wanted to get a list of books and grades, and he sent me like he wants 20 or 25 of these early ones. So I have a whole run, haven't really processed them, decide to crack them out, process them. So I don't even know if I'm going to sell them, because this book, after 9.2, it starts to become something that really hard to get. If these are 9.6, they become incredibly hard to find. Let's go through the book.
Yeah, let's grade it. I'll go ahead and run the front cover right now. That's a shiny book.
Yeah, the gloss on this. I mean, this kind of book, if you put it on a board or a flat surface, it actually starts to slide. It's got that kind
so
of
shiny.
yeah. So, what do you think?
So we had a conversation about the spine ticks. There's a few spine ticks, but they're not color breaking.
Yeah, so these aren't tiny. They're not large, they're not deep, and they're not hard. They're soft spine ticks. Do I think the front cover's a 9.8? I'm going to take another swipe at those spine ticks through another press.
Because it's not a 9.8 right now.
Well, the funny thing about it is I do think it can get a 9.8.
In the condition it's in right now on the front cover?
I think it could, but I think there's a chance it couldn't. And I think it's 80-20. 80% it would, 20% it wouldn't on a really strict grader. So what do I do in that situation? I will press this again to see if I can get a 9.8. Because in 9.8, this book becomes a different conversation. Let's look at the back.
Let's look at the back. All right, back cover.
All right, you go ahead.
Well, the first thing I saw, and it's so small, is the bottom left corner is folded. It's got the tiniest fold, but it's a color breaking fold. Also, the bottom right corner is not a perfect corner. The top right corner also is like a little weird, but it's barely anything.
Okay, so if you were just going to grade by the back cover and the front cover was a 10.0, what would you give it?
9.8.
Yeah.
But because of those spine ticks.
We're in the same place. Yeah.
Those spine ticks on the front.
So that corner, I do think you can get a 9.8 with that. Mm-hmm. And is it questionable? Depends on the rest of the book. So The back, I also noticed, is a tiny bit dirty at the bottom staple. When you clean a book, really, there are times you can't get everything up because to work the book that much more could harm the book. So this book was cleaned. It wasn't that dirty, but I also wanted to keep the integrity of the gloss, which is really present. This is a very glossy book.
It's very shiny.
It looks good. What do you think? I mean, what did you get out of that? So we think, tell me if this is right. Right now it's a 9.6.
Yeah.
Comfortable with a 9.6. I don't have to touch it. It's going to get a 9.6. There's really no color breaks on it. We know it fits the requirements, and we can look in that book and look at corner, and it did say that it can get a 9.8 with a bent corner. So
just depends on the size.
yeah, so we're calling this a 9.6.
All right, let's look at some data, see what we're going to do with it. I think we already know what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
Because he already said he's going to press it again. But let's pull up GP analysis and see what it says.
On this, you can see that the prices are not huge. In 2019, a copy in 9.6 sold for $100. I think I clicked on this to see if it had white pages, and it did. This book has white pages, by the way.
Yes, bone white.
All right, so that was only 3 years ago. Do I think it's worth $100? I don't. I think it's worth more than $100. So my brother avidly collected these and read them, and it was probably his favorite series. And while this is not a key, this book is sought by collectors, especially to like clean up their back issues.
Well,
right?
let's talk about why it's sought after.
Go ahead.
There's only 19 of them in the census.
Yeah.
Slabbed.
So
And there's no 9/8.
I'm going to let you know that most collectors won't slab these.
That's fair.
They won't. And there's hundreds of copies of these out there. But here's what's interesting. My brother, you've met him on this channel. He is a grade collector. And he started telling me every single grade he had from 197 on, and it'll be a 9.4, 9.2, 8.5. And he didn't beat them up. They've just been carried around, moved around, and some of them are not as nice as others. So, you know, he even said that he doesn't have like long 9.6 runs till after number 220. So then the grades start going up. So anywhere between 197 and 220, those books are sought after, hard to find. Anyway, I'm going to grade this. If it was a 9.4, I would not. These books aren't necessarily going to get easier. There'll be more in the market at some point. For those people who want to collect high-grade copies of this, incredibly difficult to find. They're not going to be cheap. Somebody got one for $100. They're lucky. I don't think that's going to happen often, but every once in a while. I estimate, let's look at some more information to see what we think it's worth.
Yeah.
See if we can figure out, on books that don't sell often, there's like a process we go through to figure out what the value is. So there's 19 on the census. How many 9.8s? None. If this can get a 9.8, it becomes the only 9.8. And if that happened, based on the $100, based on the history, based on what it is, what do I think it's worth? And where do I get it? I think it's worth between $300 and $400 based on other 9.8s from the same run. Because, and why I need to know that is, how much do I charge for it? I don't want to charge so much no one will buy it. I don't want to only be forced into having to do an auction and kind of like throw your hat in the ring and see if you get $50 or $500. So, you know, understanding what the value is important. I put it between $300 and $400 at 9.8. 9.6, I think about $175. Then we look on things like eBay. So we'll look on eBay and we'll look at items sold after we look at anyone selling it. So on books that I say are hard to get, we should not find one high-grade copy. Do we find?
Not.
Yeah.
No. And like, I think another thing to point out, because you mentioned like collectors want to buy raw.
Yeah.
But a lot of times collectors don't trust someone to grade a near mint plus
Right.
and sell it raw. They want it to be slabbed so they can crack it and hold on to it because they know it's high grade.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. I think a lot of people right now are switching to raw books because they're cheaper. I've seen it in sales. And all of a sudden, everyone's doing lowball offers on slabs, and they're because the market's down. Let there be no mistake. Things have really gone down in price. But people don't want to, I think once bitten, twice shy, that some people might have bought a lot of stuff in 21, just got their butt handed to them in losses, and now they're like, I'm not going to go after specky books. And they're probably not wrong about that, but deciding not to buy slabs may not be the best choice for everyone, and I'll tell you why. People are right to question grading when it's raw because it's so subjective.
So, yeah.
And that's why Rachel and I are doing this. It's so subjective. We're all going to grade it together. And that's why also I like to deal with really high grade books. That subjectivity is less challenged when there's less defects.
So true.
We look at like items that are selling now, and then we look at when the last one sold. That's really only good for 90 days. GP analysis goes back 10 years. So you can look at a history, and then you need some context about different periods of time and what happens. For instance, if you're looking at something like Iron Man or Black Panther, or things that have had MCU movies or other types of media exposure, you'll see spikes and drops, and you have to take that into consideration.
And there's a lot more of those that exist
You should
in the census.
There's a lot. I mean, and once you kind of get an idea of the book that you're looking at, and looking back at the 10-year graph, and then looking at sales and how many copies there are, this book is kind of scarce when it comes to high graded copies. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely slab this.
Especially if we can get a 9.8 when there's none in the census.
If I got 9.8s on a group of these, I'd keep them. I say that, and then I'll turn around and sell it. But I know I can't replace it easily. Mm-hmm. If I was able to replace it, maybe then I'd start selling some. But I like them. All right. The next book is Marvel Team Up 117, and we've shown this book a couple times in the channel. I think since the channel started, this book has gone down over 50% in value. So we killed the book. We talked about it and killed it. No,
about that weird leg
these things go up and down. And this one got popular for a minute, and then it's not as popular now, but it always will be because it's got a cool cover. So it's not a nothing. It's just not a $300 book anymore, 9.8. So let's grade it. Ready?
That front cover, it looks really nice.
Yeah, it's very clean. We saw two spine ticks, two very, very small. I call them micro spine ticks. I don't even know if that's a real word, but
that's our term.
Yeah, micro meaning that they go under the radar in terms of size. There's two of them. You could have two. They actually break color, but in the slightest way it possibly could. Not visible to the naked eye. You've got to get up on that book and get it under some kind of magnifier to really see it. So
the CGC does that, so they'll see it.
They do. They actually grade with a loop, with a jeweler's loop. Mm-hmm. They'll see it, and I'm not afraid of them seeing that. I still think we're a 9.8 on the cover.
Front cover's 9.8.
We see those two spine ticks. All the corners look good. Mm-hmm. The color looks good.
Let's look at the back cover.
Back cover. Okay, we're back. So let's talk about the back cover. Go right ahead.
So the top right corner, I didn't know if it was dirt or if there was a crunch on it, but we determined it was a pretty large spine tick that kind of goes up.
Yep. Kind of fish hooked. At the very top corner, you can see that slight line. I'm sure you noticed it. I actually think it's a combination of both dirt and a spine stress line. So I'm going to actually press that again to see if I can repair it. I sold this book for $30. And what I'll do is I have other copies. I'd actually send them a 9.8. I'll figure it out because that's for a near mint. And between that and then the other corner on the bottom left, once again, has that little tip that is not completely squared up. So it's not round. That's different. If it was round, that would be slightly blunted. And we call that a soft corner, and soft corners are not good. I mean, they're just not. So this isn't a soft corner. You can only see that through really close examination. So what are we calling it?
9.6.
9.6, I agree. I think it's border. It could get a 9.8 like this. It shouldn't with the top back cover spine. That should exclude it. But I'm going to see if I can't fix that. So, yeah, I already sold this book. Let's go ahead and show GPA. So, this book, I think, selling in the 70s, right? Last sale?
Yeah, 9/8 sold for $74 in September of
Yeah.
this year.
And then let's go all the way left. So, what was it selling for in 2021?
$200.
Yeah, and then the 12-month average for this year is still $200, but all of a sudden it just dumped. I don't let that bother me. If let's say you bought one for $200, don't worry. I wouldn't put too much concern in it. It could have been an overpay, but it might not be as bad as you think. Because a year from now, this book might be doing $125 or $150.
Well, and the market's also flooded with them. There's a lot. There's over 467 slabbed copies.
Yeah, that's a lot.
There's 147 9/8s.
What Oh, so it's 25% 9/8.
There's also a 10-0 of this.
Yeah, and the 10-0s, I think we looked it up, sold for $1,100.
And there's 2 copies. It sold for $1,300.
Yeah, so 25% is not a bad ratio. What I would suggest, if you don't already have a method, is always look at the percentage of 9/8 when you're dealing with this era, because that can kind of let you know if the book is heavily saturated in 9/8. It doesn't always apply. Amazing Spider-Man 300 is a good example. This particular book, I think it's worth about $70. It's a $40 book if it's raw. When's the last time you bought a 9/8 raw? I mean, you just don't even see them.
Yeah.
But I did. I mean, I do. So when someone buys, and I still go through this process, and if I can't get this to a 9/8, I'd lower the price. That's the way I do it. I'd lower the price. Yeah.
Okay, so we have an unboxing today. I've got 4 books here. Interesting stuff that we're about to show you. One of these books I think will be surprising.
One of these things is not like the others.
Yes.
One of these things just doesn't belong.
One of these doesn't belong. You'll figure that out really quick. But we're gonna do that one at the end. So we'll start with. Do you want to start with this one?
Yeah.
This is Teenage Romances number 20, and
Yeah. So this book is not mine. It's my brother's. We noticed that it had some bends in the cover, pretty bad, and so. We had brought it up in another show, and I told him this needs to be pressed, and he agreed, and he sent it to me. So, cracked it. It was a 6.5 with off-white pages. This is Matt Baker art, Teenage Romance number 20. Love this cover. Actually, I like this entire series, but this is a great book. My brother's had it for a while, so cracked it. Rachel and I both looked at it after we got done. We thought it would get a 7.0. Danny was hoping for a 7.5.
it got a 7.0.
Yeah, it got what we thought it would get, not what Danny wanted it to get. The defects on this are pretty big. I was careful with this book. I really didn't overdo it. I wasn't trying to clean off the patina from the inside covers, for instance. You don't do that. So there's a little bit different. I spent a lot of time in this book. There was a lot of just deep divots that I was able to get it completely flat. So the improvement is massive. It looks much better in hand.
It does.
However, it only went up a half grade, and then on top of that, it went down. It went down in page quality. So now it's creamed off white. So that's not good. No. It is what it is. It got improved by a bump.
That's better than going down.
I'm not disappointed. Danny wasn't excited, not disappointed. He does not really collect cream colored books. He tries to stay away from them. He just feels like the book always presents better with white pages. So it's fine. Next book.
All right, so this is Avengers number 23, 1965. It is the first John Romita Silver Age Marvel work, first appearance of Ramona Renslayer.
And that's Kang on the cover. So this is a raw book I got that it looked great. I was really impressed with the gloss and the way this book presented. As I looked at it, I 100% convinced it was a 9.0 because I couldn't get it to a 9.2. Nothing I can do. I can't remove color breaks. So 9.0 is good enough to slab it. What'd it do?
It got a 9.0.
And what page quality is on that?
It is off-white to white.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with this book.
Newton rings.
Because it is, yeah, I've noticed a couple of books have had Newton rings lately. I love this cover. And
it's really cool.
Glad to have it 9.0. Of course I wanted a higher grade, but that's not what I bought. I bought a 9.0. I think it looked more like an 8.0 when I had it. I was able to improve it a grade, which is why I press. That's not a bad book.
No.
All right, then.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Avengers number 8, 1964. It's the first appearance of Kang.
Kang the Conqueror. Bought this book hoping to improve the grade, low mid grade. It was probably a 4 or 4.5. Worked on it. It did not. It was worse than I thought once I got inside the book and everything. But I was able to clean it up, and it looks great. I mean, it looks much better than it did. It was wrinkled. I mean, to the point that if you held it in your hand, you would see these waves, and so it's all flat. I didn't think I got more than a 6, and I was hoping for a 6. But I thought maybe I'd get somewhere between 5.5, and 6. It was kind of up in the air because the defect's pretty big.
Yes, it got a 5.5.
Exactly what I thought. And the page quality is...
It's creamed off-white.
Yeah. That it is what it is. So this is the book that I bought. It looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'll sell this because that's
never mad at a Kang book.
Yeah.
Ever.
You know what's good is that people do want to be able to afford books. That's why different grades are fantastic. And if you were going to buy a copy, this one's still not cheap, but it looks great. I mean, if you had this on your wall or however you want to present books, it still looks great. So, yeah.
Yay.
I don't have much more to say about that.
Nothing else to say. Well, we'll have a lot to say about this next one.
Okay.
Let's talk about it before I even show it. I'm not even going to cover
So
the
I
grade on
do
this
know,
one.
I know what's going on because I know.
So this is Avengers number 85 from 1971. It's the first appearance of the Squadron Supreme. It has Spider-Man in it. Tell me about it before I show it.
Yeah, so this particular book had issues. It had a lot of stains. So I really felt I could get an 8.0 to an 8.5 by working on it. As I got into it, it was like opening Pandora's box. It just, as I tried to work on a part of the back cover, another part was so dirty. I worked on this probably for an hour and a half. On the back cover, there's an ad that has a lot of writing. And I continued to clean it and it started coming off. So as it came off, I knew there would be an issue there, and I wasn't quite sure what to do, and I decided that I wanted to send it in to see what they would do. Wanted to know how much it took off the grade, if I would get another label. I didn't know, but I wanted to test it. So I wanted to see what they did. So here's what they did.
All right. We got purple labeled.
And that's fine. Just so you know, now I know. And not that I didn't know that it was jacked up, but I know that it would get a purple label. I kind of thought it could get a conserved blue label, which would be a banner at the top saying it was conserved and it would say cover cleaned. But this one got a restoration. Would you mind reading?
Yeah, so it says restoration includes cover cleaned. That's all. That's all it says.
Yeah, they're not going to get into big details, but you know, I've had several copies of this book, and I've had some lower grade copies, and learned a lesson.
Where is it? Right here?
I can't see it.
I don't see it at all.
It's
I
just
could not tell.
It's lighter there.
I could not tell.
You can't tell by looking at it with the naked eye. That's why the purple label's there. There might be something on the front cover as well. It was so dirty.
It is not obvious to me.
Yeah. So when you look at this, it doesn't look like it got jacked up.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I don't mind a purple label, to tell you the truth. I think full disclosure is so important in collecting comic books. It's so bad for the hobby to put bad product out there and not say what it is. So I'm fine with the purple label. It's not what I thought would happen. I thought it would get conserved. This isn't far away anyway. Conserved is not something I like, but there are people who like that, and I'm fine with them liking that. It's just not something I personally know how to deal with that much.
It's a testament to how good you are at cleaning, because this is the first one we've gotten in the 2 years that you've been doing this.
Yeah.
We send in hundreds of books, or we have.
I've sent in over 1,000 books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like 1 out of a few thousand. That's fine. That's fine.
Well, it's not a surprise.
Yeah. The dreaded
I
purple
don't even
label.
know what I'm going to do with that.
Do you want it? Do one of you guys want it? Anyway, 6-0 too.
You giving it away?
No, it's just hypothetical. Would you want to buy this?
I'll tell you what, if you're watching the video and you just say, I want it, that's all you have to say, you're in a drawing just for this book. Only people that say, I want it. So if you type in the words, I want it, and like and subscribe, and it could only be 5 of you, could be 1 of you or none of you, I don't know. But if you want us to send you this free of charge, it actually has value. It's a first appearance. And if you broke it out of there, it's a nice book. It's not.
I can't even tell that it was cleaned.
I kind of expected to get a 7.5 or an 8.0, so they hit me twice. They hit me with a purple label and then brought it down. So I learned a lot. If you say I want it, next week we'll announce. But I'm not going to put that anywhere else except right here. So if you watched to the end, good job. I'm sure you did, because you might have just left when you saw it was this book at 6.0. But if you didn't, you get to win it. I want it.
So, all right, we did a lot of things today. To close it out, don't forget, if you like, comment, subscribe, you could win a copy of the CGC grading guide. It just came out. It's brand new. And we're so excited to give you guys one of these so you can learn how to grade.
Next week, we're giving one of these away.
Yes.
Not a lot of you that do this, so it's a pretty good shot.
It is a good chance of winning. We're also going to announce another thing today. If we haven't thrown enough at you. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, you guys. It's happening. So we're going to start building our repertoire of what we're going to give away when we hit 1,000.
Yeah, this album, Dark Knight's death metal soundtrack from DC, came out in 2021. Bought this. It's still in the shrink wrap. This is a variant Wonder Woman cover. Sick.
It has artists like Mastodon, Manchester Orchestra, Rise Against. Do you know any of those?
We're not selling it to you. When do you get it?
We're going to give it to you.
But it's going to go into a category of like, this is the 1,000 subscriber giveaway. One person will get each item. So put one item like right.
This is the first item.
We're going to line them up for you.
We'll line them up. So yeah, throwing a lot of giveaways at you today. Let us know down below if you like content like the grading content that we did today.
Yeah.
Trying something new. We hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.